Imagine a king so desperate to modernize his country that he traveled across Europe undercover, working as a common carpenter. Imagine a leader so obsessed with power, he would personally shear the beards off his own aristocrats. It's a man who could design warships, and beat his ministers with a walking stick. A ruthless tyrant who died a selfless hero. This is not a character from fiction. This was a real man, a giant of a man in every sense. This is the story of Peter the Great, the Tsar who dragged Russia, kicking and screaming, into the modern world. At the end of the 17th century, Russia was a sleeping giant, a vast isolated land looking east while the rest of Europe surged forward. Its traditions were ancient, its technology was outdated, its outlook was, in the eyes of the West, Asian, but its new Tsar, Peter, was different. He was a force of nature, physically imposing, endlessly curious, and filled with a volcanic energy. He saw Russia's weakness, and it infuriated him. He knew that to be powerful, Russia had to change. Drastically, but to change Russia, he first had to learn from its rivals. So, in 1697, he did something unprecedented. The absolute ruler of Russia vanished. In his place, a 6'10" giant calling himself Sergeant Mikhailov appeared in the shipyards of Holland. This was Peter Undercover, part of a grand embassy to the West, but he wasn't there for balls and diplomacy. He was there to work, to learn, to absorb. He worked with his hands, learning the secrets of shipbuilding, one of Europe's most advanced technologies. He toured factories, visited museums, and observed military drills in Holland, England, and Austria. He was a sponge, seizing upon every innovation, every piece of technology he could find. This journey forged his vision. When Sergeant Mikhailov returned to Russia, he was no longer just a Tsar. He was a revolutionary, ready to unleash a storm of change. Peter's return marked the beginning of a feverish, often brutal, transformation. His first priority, a modern military. He launched a program to create Russia's first-ever navy from scratch. He poured resources into a modern army, even designing some of the guns and artillery himself. But modernizing the military wasn't enough. He wanted to modernize the very culture of Russia. He declared war on beards. To him, they were a symbol of the old, backward Asian Russia. He imposed a beard tax, forcing men to pay for the right to keep their facial hair, and for the aristocrats who refused. Peter would take out his own shears and remove their beards himself, a deeply humiliating public display of his power. This was not a gentle reformer. This was a human hurricane. If you're fascinated by these larger-than-life characters, hit that like button to let me know. His methods were ruthless. His temper was legendary. He was known for his massive drinking bouts, parties that could last for days. And if a minister displeased him, especially if he was hungover, Peter wouldn't hesitate to smack him with his heavy walking stick. He ruled through fear, respect, and sheer, unpredictable force. Yet this brutal man was capable of shocking moments of insight and even mercy. There's a story of a conspirator who plotted against him. The man was captured and subjected to horrific torture, yet he refused to break. Peter, awestruck by the man's incredible endurance and loyalty to his cause, walked up to the bleeding conspirator, kissed him on the forehead, and forgave him. It was in these moments that the true complexity of the man was revealed. He was not just a brute. He was a judge of men who could respect strength even in his enemies. But his final act would become his most defining legend. In the freezing winter of 1724, Peter saw a boatload of soldiers shipwrecked in the icy waters of the Gulf of Finland. Without a moment's hesitation, the 52-year-old Tsar dove from his own yacht into the deadly cold water. Standing waist-deep in the ice, he helped rescue the drowning men. He saved his soldiers, but the act came at a terrible cost. He developed a severe fever, and his health, already fragile, collapsed. A few months later, in early 1725, the Czar was dead. The man who had lived like a tyrant died like a hero. Peter the Great's legacy is as colossal as the man himself. He built a new capital, St. Petersburg, his window to the west. He created a navy, forged a powerful army, and reformed the government. He was a visionary, a craftsman, a drunkard, a tyrant, and a hero. He found Russia a kingdom and left it an empire. On this channel, we explore the giants of history who shaped our world. To join our journey, make sure you're subscribed and have hit the notification bell. Now, a question for you. Do you think Peter's ruthless methods were justified by his results? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching.